Spec Ops The Line slipped under my radar when it came out in 2012. I only picked it up about 9 years after its release because I kept hearing that the story is a good one, and oh my gosh, it didn't disappoint. I absolutely love this game. I mean, it feels funny to say that I love a game that basically makes me feel like a monster every time I play it. That's usually not what I look forward to experiencing when I pick up a video game, but I live for good stories, especially the kind of stories that make me think. Spec Ops The Line absolutely delivers in that respect. But let me talk about the gameplay first. This is a linear cover-based shooter where you clear an area of enemies and then move on to the next and repeat the process. No puzzles, no upgrades, no XP. It's very straightforward and fast-paced, and on the lowest difficulty it's downright relaxing, just mindless carnage. Made better by the fact that the enemy AI is not overly bright. Occasionally someone tries to flank you or tosses a grenade, but they don't have that many tricks up their sleeve. Most of the time all I have to do is make sure I'm in cover and keep an eye on my ammo. Finding ammo is one of the biggest challenges in this game, so I think it's a good idea to aim carefully and make good use of what you have. There's no real stealth option or non-lethal takedowns, and while you do have a melee attack, it's not particularly good, and I only use that as a last resort. I get the impression you're supposed to rely on your guns. I very much enjoy the arsenal in this game. I find all the weapons pretty effective and satisfying. But funny enough, my favorite is the M4, which is the rifle you start with. It's just so easy to aim with and quick to reload that it's probably the best weapon in the game. It's effective all the way to the end, and I only ever switch away from it when I'm forced to. The environments are beautiful in a desert apocalypse kind of way. I love the colors and the whole visual design. Even though the graphics are more than 10 years old, in my opinion it's still pure eye candy. By the way, I apologize for the less than excellent image quality. I don't have the means to capture my gameplay on PlayStation 3, so I went and recorded this on my phone. The game looks much better in real life than it looks in this video. I enjoy the way they made use of the desert environment. Every now and then there's a scripted sandstorm blowing through that really messes with visibility, which is a fun challenge. Sometimes you can make use of sand piled up behind a window. You shoot the window and a tsunami of sand rolls over the enemies. And sometimes a grenade kicks up a dust cloud that again hampers visibility. Small details, but they make the world feel more real. Even though the areas on first glance look big, they're super linear with clear waypoints. I'm usually not a fan of such linear gameplay. I usually appreciate big open areas to explore with multiple ways to reach the objective. But Spec Ops The Line is one of the exceptions to the rule. I really enjoy the linearity in this one. I think it fits the almost fatalistic nature of the story, and it makes the gameplay feel like a post-apocalyptic sightseeing tour. No need to worry about where I'm supposed to be going. I can just run down what is basically a tunnel while admiring Dubai's breathtaking skyline and ruined luxury resorts that are still beautiful, even when half buried in sand and corpses. The soundtrack is amazing, too. It consists of catchy Vietnam War-era style rock and roll that has a disturbing tendency to play in the middle of battle. On top of that, the pacing is excellent, the voice acting is first class, and I've never run into any bugs. In my opinion, the overall gameplay experience is just incredibly solid. And then there's the story. Oh, I think the story is absolutely amazing. One of the best video game stories ever, but man, it's hard to watch. The setting is, a massive sandstorm has decimated and isolated Dubai. Delta Force Captain Martin Walker and his 2 squad mates are sent to look for the source of a distress signal and for survivors. What they find is a ruined city where armed factions are fighting each other with some civilians caught in the middle. Captain Walker's attempts to find out what's going on are not going well, and the body count just keeps going up. I think Spec Ops The Line does a phenomenal job of showing how confusing things can be on the ground when originally well-meaning operations have disintegrated into fighting between half-mad survivors. It's so hard to tell who's a friendly and who's an enemy when most people you encounter will try to shoot you on sight. Especially on my first playthrough, half the time I had no clue who I had in my crosshairs or who I should trust or where we were even going. It's an unsettling experience, to put it mildly. I want to keep this video spoiler-free, so I won't go into details about the plot. I just want to say that Spec Ops: The Line is one of the most shocking and gruesomely violent games I've ever played. And I think it's good to know going into it that this is not a happy story. It's basically psychological horror disguised as a modern military shooter, and a real gut punch of a commentary on what horrible shit war is, and in how many ways it can destroy people. And if that sounds intriguing, then I think you should absolutely play this game. I highly, highly recommend Spec Ops: The Line. The game is pretty short. It's maybe 7 hours of gameplay, or even less, depending on how fast you are. But the story is so extraordinary that after beating the game, I pretty immediately wanted to play it again. And I've replayed it multiple times since then. So at least to me, it has a lot of replay value, even though it's very short and very linear. There's just so much food for thought. There are several occasions where the game asks you to pass judgment on certain characters, and you're forced to consider what they deserve. It's ugly. Basically all the choices look bad to me, but I keep thinking about them anyway, trying to figure out what's right. Most importantly, what does Captain Walker deserve in the end? And what do I deserve? After all, I was the one holding the controller the entire time. I can't stop thinking about it. I love it. This game makes me feel horrible. And it's brilliant, and I love it. Have you played Spec Ops: The Line? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for watching.